part of differentiation. And we were left out with the last 3 points. So here, if we take the symbols, on the basis of these symbols also, the companies can think of differentiation. Now, images for the companies or the brand can be depicted or amplified by strong symbol recognition. The companies can choose a symbol somewhere which should be linked to the organization or to the offering. Like if you see Apple computer, the Apple is shown. In case of McDonald's, you can easily recognize the symbol. So here even colors become the part of this symbol. The letters can be the symbols which reflect the organizational identity or with reference to specific brand. So here also differentiation is used by companies. Now coming to the media, the chosen image must be worked into ads and media that convey a story, a mood or a claim. So here this any part of the differentiation done by the companies to differentiate a particular brand or an offering should be conveyed to the masses, to the customers. For this, the best thing is the media. Now here, maybe television or maybe in terms of movies, it has a greater influence on the audience. It becomes very much catchy in terms of visual representation. When you take into consideration the differentiation part, or maybe if it's a jingle, okay, you can have a audio recording also, maybe through radio channels or any other mode. Now it should appear, it should be inculcated in day-to-day manuals like annual reports, brochures, catalogs, the company stationery, the business cards. So whenever you visit for the business purposes or just circulate the catalog, the person should recognize or recollect about the company and the offering. That is what is about media. Coming to the atmosphere, the physical space occupied by the company in another powerful image generator. Now, like Hyatt Regency hotels developed a distinctive image through its atrium lobbies. If a bank wants to convey the image of a safe bank, it must communicate this through the building's architectural, interior design, layout, colors, materials. So here it deals with the ambience, we can say. That is the physical evidence part in the services, which will reflect the offering. Basically here, we connected to the service part. Maybe you take hotel industry, the banking, or maybe a restaurant where atmosphere plays a very vital role. The events. A company can build an identity through its events, its sponsors. That is event management. So this again creates awareness and creates an image, unique image in the minds of the customers. So many of the companies you would see that they sponsor the events. Now the basic purpose is to just get into the vision of the masses. Now this is about the differentiation part. The next part is with reference to positioning process. Now what is positioning? Positioning is the act of designing the company's offering and image to occupy a distinctive place in the target market's mind. So here it strengthens its own current position in the customer's mind. The strategy is to grab an unoccupied position. Now, just now we saw about the differentiation strategy. So this differentiation is used for the sake of gaining attention of the customers. Now here, the positioning the new brand in the customer's mind or repositioning the existing current brand, it involves a series of steps which the company has to take into consideration. Any company which wants to come up with a new brand, new offering, or reposition in the existing one, it has to undertake the positioning process. Here, let us now discuss the steps one by one for positioning the process. The step one is identify a relevant set of competitive products. Now here the positioning, it analyzes their useful at many levels. When you identify a set of competitive products, now one can take into consideration the organization or the business unit, the product category or the product class or specific product line or brand. With reference to any of these attributes, the company can consider this positioning process. So here it depends upon individual companies' positioning strategies. If it is with reference to its own strategic business unit, it will compare its different offerings. Okay, and try to see the gap where it can place it. That is one thing. Second thing, maybe it will have this positioning with reference to its product line brands, different specific product lines, or with reference to competitors' product analysis. So at the company or business unit level, such analysis, they are very useful to understand how an entire company or a business unit is positioned relative to its competitors. Now here, suppose if a company is only into the, it's catering to the mid segment or the lower segment. So it comes to know that it is not into the luxury segment. There, all the competitions or all the competitors are there. And suppose if they come to know that this set is now at the saturation level with more competitors, then it can think of moving upwards, shifting with a new product in the luxury category. Or vice versa, if the company is into the luxurious categories and finds that there are many competitors, it can stretch downwards by offering a low priced product to cater to the needs of that particular segment. So such type of analysis helps the companies to understand where they stand in the competitive market. Now here, if we take an example of a product like having a tagline of made in China. Now the customer has certain perceptions. If I ask you the same question, usually we perceive that it is of a cheap quality. The quality is questioned by the customer, isn't it? Most of the time, not always, but most of the times, the people, they believe that it's, now here quality is correlated to pricing, and that's why the masses, they perceive that when we say it's a Chinese product, maybe the prices are low and the quality is also at a lower side. That is what is the general perceptions. Now, as far as the product category is considered, it analyzes the customer's perception about type of products or offerings they might consider as substitutes to satisfy the same basic need. So here, if there are substitutes available in the same category, so people will try to shift to substitutes. Now this again depends upon the pricing. Now, positioning analysis at the product or a brand level can be helpful to understand how various brands appeal to customers. To position the proposed new brand. Suppose if the company is thinking of with the new offering, so where it stands as far as the current brands goes. How does the customer perceive in terms of pricing, quality, reach to the customers in general? Now, these are the different aspects through which the company can take or can think about the analysis of various facets with reference to the new brand or new offering. Now, coming to the step 2, identify determinant attributes. Now, when the company thinks of positioning it, then the next step is this is based on certain attributes to be considered or factors to be considered. The first and foremost is the features. Now, here, what are the features which go into the product plays a very important role. Whenever a customer thinks of purchasing or buying a product, he will generally ask a question to the intermediary, maybe a retailer, that what is the price? So what are its features? Now features may be with reference to quality aspect, features may be with reference to operations aspect, or features may be with reference to functional part. Suppose if it is a equipment function, if it is a, like you can say a washing machine, then you can ask about the features, that how it is performing or performance level, what are its features with reference to machine, engine, the built-in features. Okay. If it is with respect to cosmetic aspects, you are more concerned about the consequences, that is the outcome. When we say about the functionalities, it is the outcome in terms of aesthetic look or aesthetic value. Now, when you take into consideration maybe a product like a health drink, okay, you would like to know how medically it is going to add value. So these are all the features we can say. And when the company thinks of positioning or offering, these features play a very major role. Attached with these features are the benefits. So customer is always thinking about the benefits of a particular product when he is purchasing it. I'm paying something and in return what I will get. Even in case of buying a simple generic good also, the customer is always mapping. The mind map game is going on, that this much I am paying and return what I am getting. Unless and until it is influenced by factors like status symbol, you will consider the basic thing is the benefit apart from the features. Now, benefit is with reference to functionalities basically. The next is the parentage. Now, parentage is the who makes it, who has made the offering. Now, in many instances, there are few customers who would like to know what is the name of the company, what is the brand. Now, why they are guessing this? Because they want to know the basic value. Okay, somewhere the brand or the company, it reflects the value or the culture of the organization. And that's why most of the people are interested. Many of them, they take the pride also in just uttering the words that it's made in this country and it's a this make and that make. Like we say it's a German technology or it's from the US based company. So the parentage also matters here. The next is the manufacturing process. Now, this is also often a subject of a firm's positioning efforts. Now, this is mostly true for the industrial goods where we have B2B marketing of the goods. So there it matters more. The next is the ingredients. Ingredients, what goes into the offering. So here the competitor will try to, the company will try to analyze in this positioning. So here this is the part of differentiation again. If you think about the components or the ingredients of the offering, the company will always take into consideration the product line which it has as well as the competitors' lines. So here the components or the ingredients are taken into consideration while positioning of the offering. The next is the endorsements. Now, these endorsements come into two categories. Like the first one is with reference to those by experts. Suppose if some expert is a brand endorsee, he speaks about the product. He speaks good about the product. He is an expert. Like you may have an advisor, a medical consultant, a medical practitioner. So in many of the advertisements, you will see that like we have a toothpaste advertisements, you have a dentist speaking on the benefits of using a particular toothbrush or a toothpaste. So here the expert is considered or a legal advisor. Now second part are the brand ambassadors, the celebrities. They are considered as the endorsees here. Now the next is a comparison. So here uh, the company thinks of comparative analysis with the competitors offering, which is more common in the market. And even this is portrayed through the message also. You will see that during the ads also, the comparisons are made and certain features of the competitors offering are pinpointed through the advertisements. So on the basis of comparison, one can think of identifying the attribute. Pro environment, that is positioning seeks to portray a company as a good citizen. So here the company's goodwill is taken into consideration. Most of the time you will see this in the advertisement where it reflects the, instead of a specific strategic business unit or instead of product class, you will see the entire corporate zone highlighted in the advertisements. That is, we care for the environment or we care for the good of the citizens or the people. That is what is portrayed here. Maybe through monetary terms or non-monetary terms, where they advertise on the basis of helping financially the poor people or keeping the environment clean. The next is the price. Now here, a price is used in cases where the company wants to portray itself, maybe price with reference to quality. That is, though our price is very much premium, our quality is the best. That is one thing. Second thing is we place ourselves at an average quality with the affordable prices. Like Walmart has been successful in entering or penetrating into the market by using this price strategy. So here, these are some of the attributes which should be taken into account in terms of positioning of a new offering. That is the step 2. Now, step 3 is collect data about customers' perceptions for brands about competitive set. So here what happens, the company takes into consideration customers' perceptions for a particular brand. So if they have 2-3 brands all together, they take the views or opinions of the customers with reference to these brands. They try to analyze the gaps here. So this part is with reference to marketing research. The data is collected as well as the analyzed. Now in the step 4, it is more in detail, discussed in detail. That is analyze the current position of brands in competitive set. In the third step, just collection of the data. Now here maybe we can consider the telephonic interview of the customer, the questionnaire part, the survey part. Any of these options are available. Today just because of the internet penetration, one can think of just having a Google form and sending it. It becomes much more easier and quicker, cheaper means today. So after collection of this data, the analysis has to be done. Now here, one basic thing is whether positioning is totally about the new product or the company is thinking of repositioning the existing offering. Now, to understand this, there are two tools which are used by the researchers. This can be done by positioning grid, which is also known as a perceptual map, and the other one is the value curve. Now, a positioning grid provides visual representation of positions of variables or various products or brands in competitive set in terms of 2 attributes or 2 to 3 attributes. Where there are more than 2 attributes, it is considered as the multiple grid, which is taken into consideration. Now, determining the attributes on which a brand's positioning is a key to the positioning process. Now, here this grid is a visual representation. By just having a look, you will come to know which brand is into which quadrant or what that brand is offering. Visual representation of the perceptions of customers or potential customers about the specific attributes, maybe about that company, about the brand, about the offering, about the service or the idea. So it is a diagrammatic technique used by marketers to understand the opinion of the customers. Like we can say quality and price. Okay, just maybe I had taken this from the internet itself just to make you understand how it is. Okay, so here now this is for the athletic footwear. Just have a look. The expensive shoes categories, their performance, cheaper and fashion. So here one can think of placing the different brands in this quadrant. So just having a glance, one comes to know about which brand is into which quadrant. So like this, if you have attributes and place it, the company will understand where the offering should be placed with reference to other brands. So this is the, now understand this perceptual map is from the point of view of customers, what the customers feel and not the company thinks. Many times the company may feel that it is providing a quality product at an affordable price, but that may not be the seen from the customers, that may not be the case from the customer's point of view. The customer perceive that even the price is low and the quality is also on the lower side. So here one can think of having the different brands in the market with reference to quality, the price, the fashion, the trend, and so on, and map it. Now this is helpful for the companies in scanning the brands or the offerings, understanding the competitor strategy, the competitors brands, like whether if the particular company is catering to the segment, upper segment, by offering a luxurious good at a higher price, it has not tapped the lower segment, whether there is a threat from the competitor who is going to enter into our zone and future damage to our brand. So here it gives a pictorial representation to the company, and it becomes much more easier for the organization to understand as to where it can place the offering. This is what is about the positioning grid. The next part is the value curve. Now this is again a second analytical tool which can be used by the organization to position the brands. Now the value curve indicates how products within a category compare in terms of level. It is high level, low level. Like unlike perceptual maps, which are most easily viewed in just 2 dimensions, the value curve are multi-dimensional. So here one can think of adding more attributes. It shows current and existing competition in the marketplace. It also allows the company to study the position of competitors on the positioning strategies of the companies. It allows the companies to innovate offerings in the new segments, new markets with some differentiation. So these tools, both of them, the positioning grid as well as the value curve, it helps the company in planning the positioning strategies. Let me check if I have some example. Okay, I have one, it seems. Now this is one of the example, okay, of the value curve. Now here, see, this is for the iPad. Okay, so at one part is the key investment areas, and at the other part, if you see it with reference to different attribute, like this one can think about automobiles also. So here for iPad, web browse speed, battery life, user experience, price, features, technology, and these are the points, okay, with reference to where these brands stand and where are the gaps. So Apple iPad, it introduced its offering here somewhere with reference to these points where these points were not featured in the existing offerings, okay, if you see here. So this is again a pictorial representation, or it is again just a visual presentation where you easily the company will come to know where the competitors stand if they plot the points with reference to those different attributes. Suppose if we take 7 to 8 attributes, if we combine them and just see where does the competitor offering stand, and wherever there are the gaps, the company can think, of course, it should have that much resources. and it can plan of new offering with reference to these gaps and offer the product to the customers. Okay. So this is about the analyzing the current position of brands in the competitive set. Now, based upon this analysis, the company thinks of tapping the opportunities to gain a distinctive position in the mind of the customers. So it also helps in differentiation and value adding to the offering. Easily you come to know through the analysis that this is left out, this gap is left out, and if the company can think of building the gap and introducing the offering, this opportunity, it can think of seizing this opportunity. Now here today, like we have the online platform because of the COVID-19, okay? So many of them, they found the opportunity of having the platforms, like we are now sharing the Zoom platform, isn't it? Like that, we have the others also. Like we have the Google Meet, we have WebEx and so on. So the need is one thing. Second thing is the features. What is available and what is not available. Based upon this, it gives the companies a marketing opportunity to create an offering and reach to the masses. Now here there are certain constraints imposed by this intense position. Even these positions have some constraints for their brands. Now here, suppose a company thinks of just identifying the gap and placing just the offering, they should also see to it that whether they are financially strong. If it is line extension, then the resources can be shared. But if it is totally a new product line, then the resources, it will be demanding more resources, more finances, and company should be in that position. And apart from that, the offering should be welcomed by the masses. The product should be clicked in the market. Otherwise, if it is a failure, it will be a boomerang and wastage of the resources. Even the future threat has to be taken into consideration. If the company thinks of the gap and just places or positions the offering, if the competitor enters with the new technology, then this brand will be left out. There will be no point in introducing such type of a offering where there is a threat from the competitor side. Now the step 5 is determine customers' most preferred combination of attributes. So here, instead of company thinking about mixing the attributes and offering, it's always better what the customers want or what are their preferences which are combined together and offered. Now here many a times these companies measure the customer preferences and include them in a positioning analysis. They ask for the degree of preference, that is paired comparison and attributes. They locate ideal points relative to position of various existing brands on the product space map. So here they think of mapping it. Now here another method is conjoint analysis, where the customers are surveyed, they are asked their preferences. Some hypothetical configurations are worked on, each with the attributes that are systematically varied. Varied attributes are given to them and their opinion is sought. So market has come to know about the preference of attributes liked by the customers or preferred by the customers. Now the step 6 is the consider fit of possible positions with customer needs and segment attractiveness. Now here it is with reference to the benefits sought by different customers. Now here, any offering cannot satisfy the need of all the customers. So in this case, the company thinks of having a clusters of 2 or more points, maybe addition of 2 or more features together, or more locations on the product space map. Now the analyst can consider each cluster in 2 or more of these distinctive market segments. Each cluster is represented by a circle that encloses most of ideal points for that segment. Now, the size of the circle reflects the relative proportion of customers with reference to that particular segment. So here it allows the company to understand the preference or combination of the attributes. Consider fit of possible options with customer needs and segment attractiveness. So here not only one should consider the customer needs, but whether really the segment is that much attractive to position a product. Just we take from the customer's point of view and try to place the product, and if increases the cost or if the competitor comes up with some other product, then it would not be a feasible fit with the needs and the company needs. So both of this should be mapped somewhere. The next step is write positioning statement or value proposition to guide. So here this is with reference to departmental aspect of marketing. That is the development of marketing strategy. It is a final decision of where to position a new brand or reposition the existing brand based on market targeting. It should reflect the current and future attractiveness of the target market, like its size, its expected growth in future, the environmental constraints to be taken into consideration, the relative strengths and weaknesses of the competitors, the costs involved, that is the economic implications of different market positioning strategies. Like here we can take an example of value proposition like Domino's Pizza. It was based upon the fast delivery, the key appeal which it included. Slowly and steadily, even the others copied the same. So it moved to second positioning. And to beat this, the counter attack was from Papa John's, like quality of pizza. The better the ingredients, better is our pizza. So here, every now and then, these strategies are changing. So one cannot predict that the things would remain the same in the market. Now here two approaches are followed. One thing is positioning the statement which is written, or value proposition. Value proposition is what the product does for the customer. So imbibing on the customers with reference to value proposition. Now, value proposition states the target market, the benefits offered by the product, the price range. Now the slogans, the taglines, okay, which the companies include, they communicate all these messages to the customers. It gives a detailed picture of the product, the company, the offerings, the benefits to the end customers. These were the 7 steps with reference to positioning process. Now this was the concluding part of this chapter. We start with the next part. Now here, whether the screen is visible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, so the next part deals with the marketing strategies for the new economy. And here, these strategies are the marketing specialty strategies. The first part deals with the PLC part, that is strategies with reference to entrance for entrance, that is the introduction stage, growth market, mature market, and declining. The second part deals with the marketing strategy with reference to competitors, that is the leaders, challengers, followers, and the need competitive strategies. And the last part is introduction to the competitive edge. It is in general. So this chapter, if you see, it's divided into the three parts. So today we'll start with the first part. Now here we have seen the PLC. Okay, product life cycle. We have studied in the first semester, isn't it? The introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Any product, it starts with the introduction phase. Now, in the introduction phase, the product is new to the market. Now, here, if we consider if we take into consider the Booz Allen and Hamilton factor, where they have divided into 6 categories. When the product is new and the introduction stage, on the degree of newness as perceived by these, based upon the company and the target customer, like whether the product is new to the world, that means entirely new to the market, new to the company. For the first time their company has introduced the product, it's new, the customer is not aware, there are no competitors, and this is experimentation from the organization side. That is new to the world products, entirely new market, new product, new to the company also. The next part is new product lines. So a company category that is new for the company. For the company, it's a new, but for customers, they are aware and there are competitors. That is the second part, new product line. So here it's for the companies to introduce the new product line with the existing one or two product lines. Third is the addition to the existing product lines. So already the firm has items, and to supplement it, it is introducing a new offering. So we can say it's moderately new to the customers and moderately new to the companies. The fourth is improvements in or revisions of existing products. Now here it's of greater perceived value. Revisions means you are just making some changes in the existing products. Maybe you are changing just the packaging. You are just adding one or more ingredient. That is improvements. You are improving it. Next is repositioning. Repositioning is totally, you are changing the existing product and again entering. So many of them, if you see, when the product enters a maturity stage, they think of having repositioning strategy. The last one is the cost reductions, product modifications, providing similar performance at a lower cost. So here, many a times the company think of cost reduction factor without knowing the customers, without affecting much the performance part, the company thinks of reducing the prices. Now, these are the 6 types where the degree of newness as pursued by Booz Allen and Hamilton, they have identified the 6 categories. Now, when the company is in the, or the product is in the introduction phase, your first and foremost thing for the company, the challenge is to enter into the market. The more quickly it enters into the market, more it would be able to achieve in terms of the revenues. Here again, if the company has short line of production, it can concentrate better with the with just having focus on a single segment. If it has more segments, then again it becomes problematic. Here it is also influenced by product's value to the end user. How quickly it can be imitated by the competitor. Suppose a company enters into the market and competitor becomes the follower. Immediately the competitor copies the idea and enters. Then there is the competition. If there is presence of close substitute, then there would be effect of price on volumes also. Now here the basic strategies thought of are skimming and penetration. Skimming is obtained as much as possible the margin per unit as possible, because the companies have to recover the investments very quickly. Now here in the skimming stage, the companies think of entering into the market with the high price and obtaining more revenues, more returns. That is what is the objective instead of market share. They concentrate more on gaining profits. The other strategy is penetration. That is a quick entry into the markets, quick penetration with the lower cost. Here the motive is to gain more market share. Now, if you think from the offering perspective, if the product is suppose uh, based more on the technology driven aspect, when we say the product is very much costly, then only skimming strategy will work. If it is a generic product where the cost is low and the company wants to have the penetration strategy, in that case there is a possibility that immediately the competitor will copy the idea and follow. So before the competitor grabs the market share, here the company thinks of grabbing the market share. So too much of money is spent on distribution channels, making the goods or services available to the customer, pushing the intermediaries, giving them the discounts, promotional means, high expenditures on advertising, because the company wants to communicate to the masses about the awareness or create awareness about the offering, its benefits. So in the introduction phase, the company requires more of the financial resources here. Now, basically, what are the reasons why the company thinks of having the new product and market development? The first and foremost, the company wants to secure the future volume. It wants to safeguard its volume. Second thing is maintain the position as a product innovator. Now, few of the companies, they're believing in reshaping, redesigning, or are well known for new offerings every now and then. So they want to safeguard their position as an innovator. And that's why they think of coming up with new offerings. Establishing a foothold in a future new market. So here, by offering a new product to the market, they want to safeguard the future of the new market. They want to capitalize on the distribution strategies. They provide a cash generator. They want a cash generator where they see that this brand will generate more of the cash. Use excess off-season capacity. Many of them, they have the capacity, and that's why they think of coming up with a new offering. So there are a number of reasons for which the company can think of introducing a new innovative offering or repositioning an offering. Now the next part I will discuss in the next session. Today we will stop here.